Cameron Chardukian here. I'm coming at you from the Daily Developer Show. This is the show where we talk every single day about how you can become a better web developer and how you can optimize your lifestyle as a web developer. And lifestyle optimization is what I want to talk to you about today. So, I think that no matter what your situation is, almost certainly you can make time to learn web development. If you're working a 9 to 5, you can still make time to learn web development after hours. It's going to be difficult, but you can still do it. With that being said, I think that there's a reason that many coding boot camps, they say, listen, you're not going to do anything else, commit fully to coding and do this for 90 days. Why do they do that? I think the reason they do that is because the more focused and the more you can have a sole purpose, one thing you're focusing on, the faster you can make progress, right? I think that's difficult to debate. So, if you can give up your ego, I think that it makes a lot of sense to go live with your parents when you're learning to code. Or, if you got money saved up, to go live somewhere really cheap and learn to code there, rather than having to be in your fancy apartment and drive your nice car. There's a time and a place for that in life, but the time and the place for that is after you made it. It's not when you're in the grind trying to get yourself into this industry. So, again, if you have the opportunity to go live with your parents and pay no rent or pay limited rent, maybe they will cover your food, maybe you cover your own food. But either way, living at home with your parents is a very low-cost thing to do. But let's be honest, that's not possible for all of us, nor do all of us want to do that. So, if you can't go live with your parents, what can you do? Alright, maybe the relationship isn't there. Okay, so be it. What can you do? I see a lot of people, they say, you know what, continue working your job and just live cheap. That can work. But what if your job requires you to work 45 or 50 hours a week? So what if you live cheap? Maybe your job pays you $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month, and you can live cheap, right? So you're living off of $1,500 a month in the U.S. Maybe you're living off of $1,800 a month in the U.S. I don't know where your city is. I don't know your cost of living. But the point is, living cheap, yeah, it kind of helps you because it can help you get a buffer for if you do want to quit your job. But it doesn't help as much as people think, because the fact is, there's still those 40 to 50 hours a week where you got to go engage at that job, right? That's still a lot of time. So what's the alternative? I think something that makes a lot of sense if you have money saved up is, example, let's say you're living in New York. My buddy Kevin Lawrenson, he was living in New York, and he said, dude, there's a lot of opportunities here, but I'm paying like $1,400 a month for rent, and my place isn't even that great, right? Whereas you can see my apartment here. It's a decent place. And you know what? This is just actually the bedroom. If you follow me over here, you can see I've also got, there's this little hallway here. Let me turn the light on. There's this hallway. Let me turn another light on. So we got a kitchen, fridge. We got a nice bathroom. Right? So it's comfortable here, yeah? How much do you think it costs here? Right? $600, $700 a month, right? It's a nice one-bedroom apartment. No, man, it costs $340 a month. And I'm living in arguably the most expensive city in Vietnam, in one of the most expensive areas. So what's my point here? If you've got money saved up, right? So if you're let's say you're 28, you're 30 years old, you're trying to transition into software development. Hey, if you got $15,000 saved up, you can come out to Southeast Asia for a year, and instead of having to pay $1,400 a month for rent like you do in a lot of major U.S. cities, you come to Ho Chi Minh City and you can pay $300-$400 a month. Or you could go to one of the smaller cities in Vietnam or Thailand or Malaysia, and maybe you only have to pay $200 a month for rent. And food is cheap too. You can get by on a couple $100s a month for food, even if you go out and eat at restaurants. So the point is, when your monthly expenses are $1,000 or less, maybe $1,200, maybe $700, when your monthly expenses are very low, that gives you a lot of time to focus solely on learning web development. So that's very valuable. Something I highly recommend. If you got money saved up, come out here. And here's another thing. Let's say that you have your bachelor's degree, yeah, but you don't have a lot of money saved up. So at the same time, let's say instead of being 30 years old and having $20,000 in the bank, let's say you're 22, 23, 24 years old, and you're starting from scratch, right? Maybe you put in 50 or 100 hours in learning web development. You know that's what you want to do, but let's be honest, if you're going to work a job in the U.S., maybe entry level, you're going to make, if we're talking about, let's say you have a business degree and you got to go do some sales or marketing job. Maybe you're making $10, $15, $20 an hour, right? That's okay, but for the time commitment that requires and the fact that you're barely going to be breaking more than even, it's not the ideal situation. Is there something better? I think there is. So, if you've got a bachelor's degree, it may make sense for you to come out to Vietnam, or to go to China, or to go to Taiwan, or Japan, or South Korea. There's about 5 countries where you can teach English as a foreign language. You can teach English for probably 15 to 20 hours a week, and you can live off of that. And then, given that you're only having to be in the classroom for 15 to 20 hours a week, and maybe plan your lessons to 5 to 10 hours a week, that comes out to be about 25 to 30 hours of work per week. So let's say your maximum capacity for work is 50 hours a week. Let's say in the US, maybe your full-time job is 40 hours a week, but sometimes overtime comes up. And that means overall, you're putting in 45 hours a week throughout the year. That means across the entire year, given that you can only average, your maximum capacity for work is 50 hours a week, that means you can only average 5 hours of coding each week. That's about 250 hours a year. If we say it takes 1,000 hours to get competent at web development, man, that could take you 4 years. Whereas here, let's say here in Asia, let's say it takes you 28 hours a week, right? 28 hours a week to, teach enough classes that you can make enough money to support your lower cost of living out here. Well, 28 hours a week, 50 minus 28, that's 22. 22 times 50, let's say you take a 2-week vacation. 22 times 50, right? Isn't that, it's more than 1,000. What's the exact? 1,044, right? So you make it, that's 1,044 hours of practice in 1 year. So you could come out and teach English for a year. You could have a cultural experience, get experience working in another culture, improve your social skills, because you're interacting with people in another culture. You're learning different ways of doing things. You're learning how to express yourself with people that may not speak English very well, or you're learning the foreign language, so that's also valuable. But most importantly, you're getting in 4 times as much coding hours in a year. While I understand that this isn't the case for everybody, it is a unique option that may or may not make sense for you. So I'm just trying to offer a unique perspective, because I've been living in Vietnam for more than 4 years now. And I don't think a lot of American developers can say the same thing. So hopefully this video was useful. Whoa, am I tired? Hopefully this video was useful for you. And again, what is the main idea? The main idea is that ideally coding would be the only work or mentally exerting thing that you have to do every week, right? There's a reason that the boot camps produce results fast. Not only do they have a curriculum, which is very important, you should have a curriculum when you are learning to code. That's how you fast track your way to getting a developer job. So not only do they have a curriculum, but that's also the people that are in the boot camp, they're only focusing on learning how to code. And the closer you can get to only having your mental exertion and energy going into learning to code, the closer you can be to 100%, the faster you're going to learn how to code. So if you can go live at home, go live at home. If you can't do that, maybe you can try to live somewhere cheap and cut back your hours at work in the US. But if they say, 50 hours a week, or we don't want Japan or Vietnam type, a lot of money to be an entry level, you'll still have time to learn code on the side. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Please subscribe, and another video tomorrow, because what is the show? It's the Daily Developer Show. This isn't the Weekly Developer Show. We don't do this once a week. We do this every single day. See you tomorrow.